And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how was the weekend?
It was good, Eric. It was fine. Got a nice little respite from heat. Now it looks like we're going to pay the piper this week.
Okay.
You were up in the mountains. How did your event go? That's first and foremost. And then how was your weekend?
Our weekend was good. Had a couple of events. One for the Breckenridge Backstage Theater. We just crushed what they had done the previous year.
Good.
And then the event on Saturday for the Isabella Joy Thallis Foundation.
Right.
An absolutely beautiful event, a great mission. That went well as well. And, it's always fun to, meet new people, but raise money for worthy causes. So it was a really good weekend. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. I was glad that it was a success.
I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Football season is coming up fast, including a game this Saturday that will be of interest locally, the Broncos against the 49ers. And the Sportsbook is the place to watch football this season. On Broncos Sundays, you can win a Broncos every Broncos regular season game at each location. Right now, their locations are in the DTC and Highlands Ranch, coming soon to Parker. They're going to have Broncos ticket giveaways on certain Sundays. The first one is going to be in Greenwood Village in the DTC. That is Sunday, September 21st. Brunch is served Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. until noon. Yep, they open early on the weekends during the football season. Great food, great place to watch games. Highly recommended. It is my sports bar. You will see why when you walk in the door. Go check out the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, in Highlands Ranch, and, of course, coming soon to Parker. Time now for The Lead.
The Lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Told Troy Renck of the Denver Post, and I'm quoting, "I can tell you from watching practice one day and sort of keeping up, belief and confidence are high in the building." And that's what you want. Where we are not hoping that we're just a good team, but knowing we're a very good team and that you believe it. With that, just about all teams, Bruce, feel that they can win the Super Bowl before the start of the season. It's the same thinking when teams go into spring training. So are the Broncos par for the course like the other teams, believing they can win, or does this feel a little bit different to you?
It feels different because I think the demonstrated ability that we have seen from this football team, both in the level of surprise that they leveled at us last year and their ability to continue to build on that, at least our perception is that they're building on that through the first couple of weeks of training camp and through the offseason. They've made changes to the roster. They've have great roster retention, first of all. The changes that they've made have been directed to right at the places where they wanted to make improvement for holes that they had a year ago. So they're doing all of the things that they need to do to take another step forward. We've talked about this before. It'll be a theme, I'm sure, throughout the early part of the season anyway. Looking better on paper isn't the same as looking better on the field. We all know that, right? But all we have at this particular point is what we're seeing with our own eyes. This feels like a better football team than the one that finished last year. And the one that finished last year was a team and a franchise on the rise. So is the rise continuing? We'll wait for results, but it feels and appears that way.
Okay, let's just strictly talk about talent on this roster. Do they have the talent on paper to seriously compete for a championship? Quick, yes or no?
Yes.
Do they have the talent to compete?
Yes.
Okay. Do they have the coaching to compete for a championship? So how come, if you and I both believe it, shouldn't we be saying this is a serious Super Bowl contender?
I think that there are
See, that's my point, and that's why I brought it up. That's why I broke it down. Do they have the talent? I think it's an unequivocal yes, only because show me the holes in the defense. Show me the holes where they're missing something on offense. I really can't find holes. We certainly know that the coaching is there with Sean Payton. So if you add those two together, why aren't all of us, at least locally, with what we see, and because we're around there all the time, why don't we say they're serious Super Bowl contenders? Now, I think the X factor is, how does Bo Nix advance his career? How much does he improve? Have you seen any indication where this guy is probably not going to get better? So show me the hole in the argument that they aren't serious Super Bowl contenders.
Because I think the demonstrated ability of the end of last year was in Buffalo. And I think we all saw that. We saw
one game. It's one game. And now that they have experienced that, why should we believe that they have potentially not gotten over the hump, but at least now they know what to expect?
They do. And I think that there's value in that. But can you continue? The question for the Broncos is, can you continue to narrow the gap in key places? And it starts in the division. And Sean Payton would be the first one to tell you this. You've got to be good in your division.
Okay.
Can this team be 4-2 in the division, which I think probably gives them, in a division that's 3/4 of which is all pretty even, but can you continue to make up ground on the Kansas City Chiefs? I think it wasn't just last year. I think that they've starting to make up ground, and it's not in leaps and bounds, but I think that they've started to make up ground on the Chiefs. The Chiefs have come back to them a little bit. The Broncos have gained on them over the last 2 years. I think that we've seen it. Now the question is the next level, the Baltimore, the Buffalo. I mean, there's a rightfully perceived levels of confidence that we have in various teams because these teams have proven it. Now, Baltimore and Buffalo haven't been to a Super Bowl. Neither one of them have been to a Super Bowl. But it would be foolish to think that you are absolutely certain that the Broncos can compete on a postseason level with either one of those teams. Those teams have won in the postseason. They have proven themselves.
Okay, well, let's take a step back then.
Well, just a little bit of prove it, I think, for the Broncos.
Then is there any reason to believe they're not better than 10 wins? With their talent.
No, I think they're better than 10 wins. Yes.
Okay, then if they're better than 10 wins, then they're going to compete for a division title. I think, to me, the intangible, and it's hard to put a finger on why maybe they won't be a championship contending team. It's not the talent. It's not the coaching. I think it's how do they deal with the internal and the external expectations. Look at what happened a couple of years ago. A game that they really needed to win against the Texans. They didn't. The expectations seemed a little too big for them. They lost that game. Then at the end of this past season, they lost in overtime to Cincinnati. They lost to the Los Angeles Chargers. 2 games that they could have won. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely.
That to me is the hump that they need to get over because the expectations are there, certainly externally, but internally as well. Can they bridge that gap? It's not about talent and it's not about coaching. Are they ready to meet those expectations now? And I think that's what we need to wait and see. And
is the talent, some of the new talent in particular, A, going to be available, and B, going to be as good as we think? Because,
you're talking about specifically Greenlaw.
I'm talking about the inside linebacker room where I love the talent, but the talent's got to play. And the questions at running back, which I don't think are going to be questions at all. No. I think they've got that taken care of. I think that 1-2 punch and then a half punch from maybe McLaughlin or whomever else rises up in the back end of that room. But I think with Dobbins and Harvey, you've got a good 1-2-2-1 punch, however you want to order those guys, and you can get done what you need to get done. Got to prove it, obviously, but I think that they are in pretty good shape there. I do think Evan Engram, as long as he stays healthy, knocking on wood, can be a really big difference maker in the middle of the field, because I think the receiving core has gotten better as well. So yes, there are a lot of things coming together in the soup, in the gumbo, as you like to say, that make it feel like it's going to be a pretty palatable meal. But I still think that we've just got to see it with our own eyes. There is no question Sean Payton has a very strong, well, at least a simmering confidence about this team. You can hear it in his voice. You can sense it in his just the way that he talks about this group, how much he likes them. I think that he feels that he's really on to something, and let's hope so. What a year it would be if that's the case.
For the majority of training camp, I've been there for practices. You have been there for every day. As an example, I was in Breckenridge on Thursday for an event, couldn't make it. I was still in Breckenridge on Friday. That's because I was playing golf with my wife. That's why I was not there. But then I had to be back for an event. But then I had to be back for an event on Saturday.
Right.
Generally speaking, you hear early in training camp. And now we're hitting the point of training camp where we're heading into a game. And it's now, in theory, the dog days, if that's what you want to call it, of training camp.
Yeah.
From the beginning of training camp up until today, what percentage, if you had to put a percentage on it, would you say the defense has beat the offense? Percentage.
I'd say 78 to 80% of the time, maybe even more.
Really?
And
you think it's been that lopsided?
Well, I don't think it's been that lopsided. I think sometimes it's a matter of inches. I think defense is ahead of offense, kind of like pitching is ahead of hitting at spring training in baseball. It's a truism, but the offense has had, when they have had really good days, they've had convincing days. They've had, wow, look at this. Look at what they're doing with this guy and that guy. Troy Franklin is popping. Pat Bryant is very intriguing. There's Devon Vele with a great catch down the sideline. Cortland Sutton is back leading these guys. They're getting good play out of guys in the running back room. Bo Nix has taken a step forward. I do think the defense has been ahead of the offense. I don't think there's a wide gulf there. Okay. That's my difference. That would be my qualifier.
So that's where I was going, because I'm reading about what's going on in Bengals camp, and the offense is slaughtering the defense. Now,
right. Well,
that should not be a surprise.
No.
The Bengals defense was not very good last year, and we don't know how good it is going to be this year. That, to me, would be understandable. How good is the Bengals defense? It's not really a fair test against their defense. What's happening over there should be happening. My point is the Broncos defense is considered to be very, very good, if not great, this year. And for this offense to not only be flashing, but dominating in certain areas, no, not dominating like 80% of the practices, that to me gives me hope
I hear you.
that this offense is playing against what could be a great defense, and certainly finishing rounds, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, Sean said on Thursday, I'm pretty sure it was Thursday, it might have been Friday, the one thing you don't want to get in camp is one group so dominating the other that there's imbalance. There is balance. I can say if you're maybe leading the scorecard 75% of the time, but I don't consider that to be as one-sided as it sounds, and maybe I need to reboot the way that I put it. The offense is showing up, and the days are very competitive. Right. there's a lot more moving parts in putting in installs for an offense. A defense is reacting. There are players making plays because that's what defenses do. They are able to, they're putting in some pressure packages that they've been pretty successful with. And so that's been great. The offense continues to add things. For instance, they hadn't done any 2-minute offense until Friday. And all of a sudden, boom, we're seeing 2-minute offense. We're seeing hurry up. And so this is the first time that we've even seen that from them. So there's a lot more that they've got to take care of. I will put it in another way. The offense, where it is now compared to the same time as a year ago, light years ahead. Not a little bit, light years ahead.
Okay, with that, Bo Nix told NFL reporter Diana Rossini, who was at practice last week, quote, "I didn't know what I was doing last year." This is what Nix told Rossini. "I did not know what I was doing last year. I was just trying to get through. I memorized the plays. I didn't understand the plays. I went from just doing it to understanding the why of it this year." How big of a deal is this, or am I overblowing this in this conversation?
No, I think it's a remarkable admission from a guy that has enough confidence to make the admission and not worry about the fallout. And there's no fallout from it because all he's doing is being honest. It makes it an even more remarkable accomplishment what they were able to do offensively last season. And I think that he's probably being hard on himself. There was clearly understanding of elements of that offense for Bo Nix. I appreciate his humility, and I get it. And I do think that it bodes well for this year because I do think that the elevation, he thought that he was understanding it last year. It's having gone through it now, and now into year number 2, looking back on it, saying, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to get through it. Oh, okay. I can appreciate that. You did get through it. You were better for it, and you're better for it now that you had to go through it. So I like the camp. Eric, I got to tell you, man, and I don't, it might be getting to the bromance period for me with Bo Nix because the way that he goes after things and the way that he learns and his accountability for learning it and applying it, and then to work on his leadership skills, to elevate players around him to make him better. I don't want to get breathless about this thing because there are reins that you got to pull every now and then, and you got to be careful about what your expectations are. But man, the maturity and the growth of this young guy, this young man, in concert with Sean Payton, is an exciting thing to watch for Broncos country. It's exciting for us at practice to watch it, how it develops, how he handles things, both of them together. It is so encouraging, not only for this season, but as you look for the future and the next 4 or 5 years where this relationship can take the Broncos, it's pretty encouraging.
Okay, let me see if I can break it down this way and tell me if you agree with this analogy. Bo Nix has been a race car driver since he was a little guy. Mm-hmm. And he raced on junior circuits for a while. And then he got up pretty high at the college level of racing circuits. So last year was his first test sitting in a NASCAR ride. First 4 laps, whatever you want to call it, he's way behind. And then the NASCAR officials say, you know what? We're going to start this race all over again. Everybody starts in their original starting positions. This is a guy who came out and basically said, I really do not know how to drive a car at this level.
Yeah.
Okay. So over the final 13 laps, the first 4 were canceled. We're going to start fresh at 13. So he got some driving experience in through his first 4 laps. Final 13 laps, for a guy who didn't know how to drive a car, he finished top 10.
Yes.
Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, I would say that's absolutely accurate. And again, when you don't know any better, you just know what you know. And all he did was go out and compete in the best way that he could with the offense and whatever understanding of it that he had. And when he didn't have an understanding of it, what did he do? He had trust in the coach coaching him, quarterback's coach, head coach. He had trust in what he was being told.
Let me throw another ingredient into the pot of gumbo.
You got it.
Over those final 13 laps, he was driving with a broken hand, which is the equivalent of having a broken back at the quarterback position.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things get factored into it. And I think it's why everyone is rightfully so remarkably bullish on this guy to be the face of the franchise moving forward. And it's not just us. It's guys in the locker room. I mean, defensive guys. It doesn't make any difference. The feeling is that this is Bo Nix's team now. And you know what? It's in good hands.
Coming up after the break, we'll continue this conversation. Bruce, what are you seeing differently on the field with Bo Nix that leads you to believe there's going to be growth from year 1 to year 2? And also, Zach Allen held his press conference following signing that big contract. Man, with what this guy said, if you thought they're still building a culture, it's there.
Yeah.
That's next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a new Sea-Doo, 4-wheeler, or the cash award from the Big Wheel Spin plus $7,500 in cash. The grand prize drawing is the weekend of August 16th, and get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing, with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos. Loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Hot takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Let's continue this conversation with Bo from what you've seen in training camp so far. How different does he look in practice compared to, say, this time last year, say, to at the end of this past season?
I just think the air of confidence with the knowledge of that he has in the offense, not only for himself, but for those around him. His ability to move guys, to place guys, to get them moving. These are all things that are understandably next level. It's a natural progression for most quarterbacks from year one to year two. Now, not most quarterbacks had a year one like Bo Nix had. He had a tremendous last 2/3, 3/4 of the season, but he's building on that. And you can see it in just kind of the air that he breathes in. He just knows what he's doing. There is, as Sean doesn't get overly effusive, but he's matter of fact. There's just an air of confidence there. There's an air of understanding, and of knowing what he's doing. Now, he had a bad practice. The offense had a bad practice on Friday, and it just was one of those days. But it was the first one of those days that I had seen, and they bounced back a little bit better on Saturday. So I was glad to see that. But you just see a much more confident.
But let me. I want to dig into that,
because
someone who would want to hammer you on this point, and I'm not going to be that guy, but I think it's a legitimate question. How do you see confidence on a field? I can see a quicker release. I can see quicker decision making where he drops back at step, bang, as opposed to step, look. There is a difference, and it is very subtle. I don't know how we equate confidence by just by looking at somebody.
I think, well, first of all, I do think that you can look at players and sense what the confidence they feel. For me, it would be the ability for him to throw the ball down the field, in the middle of the field. He is much more confident in seams now. It's not if there was a criticism about the Broncos and their offense last year, it was a lot of dump downs and get rid of the ball and get rid of the ball quickly. You're seeing a quarterback more comfortable in the pocket. You're seeing a quarterback that's more willing to, and I don't think he was ever unwilling to stay in the pocket a year ago. I thought he was quite a bit ahead of his experience in terms of confidence in the pocket, but he's more confident even this year, more willing to climb in the pocket. And then the offensive palette is much wider now. He has options down the field. He has options in the middle of the field that he can utilize more. And I think that he makes throws in those parts of the field that are inherently more confident. He has an understanding of where guys should be. It makes sense that he's more confident that if they're going to be where they're supposed to be, that he can throw it in that spot and expect a good result. So that would be my quick answer on the pushback.
Zach Allen held a press conference today after he signed his deal and said this about the negotiations, quote, "I wanted the best deal possible, but I care about these people and this place, and I didn't want it to get ugly. I just can't state that enough. It's all about the culture here. And I think that's why you kind of see how Cortland and myself, how everything was handled. We believe in this team and believe in this organization." How much does culture affect wins and losses.
That quote is gold. Gold. Now, you and I know this.
Which quote? The whole thing?
The back end of it, the back end of that quote is absolute gold. When you talk about the organization, guys see that, hear that, and appreciate that. Look, the business of football, players want players to get paid. The biggest cheerleaders for other players are the players, right? They all want everybody to get paid because it means in a roundabout way that they're going to be paid as well. And when you have two guys who carry as much weight emotionally and culturally in the locker room, getting the deals that they did, working with the team to get the proper kind of deals that they did that are good for them and good for the franchise. And they are fine with that. And they, in fact, not only are they fine with it, they are saying it. We want what's best for, yes, one another and for us, but we want what's going on around here to continue. That is, to me, gold, especially for young players that are watching and learning about how this whole thing is working, how important an organization and the trust in an organization is. Like I said, I don't want to get silly about things, but when you hear that kind of stuff, it's like, damn, man, that's got to be music to Sean and George Payton's ears.
Well, here's a big difference between what's going on in Denver and other organizations. And I'll liken it to raising a teenager, okay, that you and I have both experienced.
Right.
Okay. Sometimes when you have teenagers and they wake up in the morning and they always go to sleep with their doors closed, right?
Sure.
You don't know who's walking out of that door every morning. You don't know what mood that teenager is going to be in, how it's going to affect the house that day. If they're in a good mood, you're feeling good. If they're upset about something, it permeates throughout the house.
Right.
Jerry Jones is that teenager. You really don't know what you're getting every single day. He wakes up and walks out that door. Look at what's going on with Micah Parsons. Look at what's going on with the Cleveland Browns organization, where Jimmy Haslam, he is a hot mess. You look at the Bengals ownership situation, and we can look at what happened with Daniel Snyder. It is not an accident that the Commanders organization suddenly turned it around. I understand they have a quarterback. I get that. But ownership plays a role in that as well, on building the culture and treating players the right way. My point in all of this is when Greg and Kerry Penner wake up every morning, it's consistent. You know what you're getting every single day. And when you get that from ownership, especially when the owner is on the field for all practices, it makes everybody feel comfortable. You know that Greg Penner is not going to get into a verbal sparring match with Zach Allen in the media. And I think that is something that builds culture, which gives the players the feeling when Greg and Kerry say something to us, they're going to do everything that they can to follow through. Right. And that's why Sutton felt the way that he did. That's why Zach Allen feels the way that he did. Nick Bonito knows he's up for a big payday. Have you heard him say anything resembling Micah Parsons' comments?
No. Trust in the process. He has trust in the process. He's waiting for the bar to be set at that position, which it will be. That's a good move. Anyone would say, be patient and we'll weigh your options. Let's see what ends up happening with some of these other guys. And you never know, that might be worth, something to you. But I have no doubt whatsoever that Nick Bonito will follow very much in the same path as Zach Allen and Courtland Sutton has laid out.
And let's look at Sutton and Allen specifically. Sutton has a pretty good idea of what an organization looks like. Not so much lacking in culture, but lacking in organization. When he was drafted, they were in the middle of some very bad seasons.
Yep.
Now he sees what is going on with the Penners. And he's like, wow, this totally feels different. And I feel like I can trust the Penners. They took care of me last year. Maybe I wanted more than just an incentive-laden deal for that year, but they did take care of me. Look at Zach Allen. He played for Bill Bidwell.
Yeah.
Okay? Or he played for that ownership group.
Right.
He knows what bad culture looks like. And there is a value to that. It's kind of like in business when you invoice your customers. When the invoice gets paid relatively quickly, you know how they run their business.
Yep.
When you have to harp on them to pay you, you have an idea of how they run their business.
Yeah.
And the Penners, for lack of a better phrase, using that parallel, pay on time.
Yep.
And when they say they're going to do something, they follow through. It gave both of those guys confidence that this was going to get done because of the preliminary talks. And that's why they speak so glowingly. And I think that's why Zach Allen said, you know what? I wanted as much as I can get, but I didn't want to piss anybody off because I did trust them. I knew it was going to get done, but I don't want to be the guy to shake the tree.
And that's so valuable when you have eyes and ears tuned on what the organization is doing with those types of players. Every guy in that locker room knows the importance of a Zach Allen to that defense, right? I mean, my God, are you kidding me? Cortland Sutton is important, obviously very important player in the offensive room as well. Those guys, when they talk, people listen and players listen. But, and you said something when you were talking about Court in particular, he has lived through the thin of this. Yeah. He has been here through some years where the culture was questionable. Organization was, good people in the organization, certainly people that we have known and that we have enjoyed, that tried to do the best they could. The way things were set up with the trust was never optimal, obviously. But now look at where they are. And it comes back for me, the three-headed, the three, I'm not going to say monster, but I mean it in a good way. Ownership, head coach, quarterback. Then you add roster, culture. I mean, I'm not in any particular order, but these things are all coming together. The Broncos are able to check the box on ownership, coach, quarterback, roster, right? We're getting there. There are areas it could still improve, and certainly on culture. The 5 key tenets to winning football at the highest level. Now it's a question of where you tweak and mix and match chemistry, all of the things that keeping people healthy, as you've talked about for years now. And you hope that if that can all stay afloat, that you can have one of those special seasons that the Broncos know about.
Again, comparing the Penners, comparing the Penners to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones treats his players like commodities.
Yeah.
When he said about, Dak Prescott, look at all the money that I gave this guy, yet he missed 2/3 of the season. That's treating somebody like a commodity, right?
Yeah.
Where carrying Greg Penner, and I know this seems minor, I can say from my point of view, if I played on that team, this would be a big deal. Not so big where I'm willing to take a $10 million a year pay cut. Big deal. But it's a big deal. This is one area. I'll give you 2 areas where you know that they care about the players. Number one, with 1 game to go in the regular season at home, they changed the field. To me, that is significant. But the thing that really sticks out is you and I have covered so many years of NFL football that at the end of the season, everybody gets handed a garbage bag, a big, black, hefty stretchable garbage bag where you can throw all your shit in there and just throw it over your shoulder like you are Santa Claus, going right back up the chimney. Kerry Penner saw this and said, you know what? We are not going to be a garbage bag culture. We're going to give you bags that look nice, that have the team logo on it, that don't make you feel like a bunch of hobos. And thanks for the year. You didn't play really well. Get the hell out. Hopefully next year it'll be better. They walked into the building with dignity day one of last season, and they left the building with dignity, with a bag, not a trash bag. And that tells me how the culture has changed.
It makes people may say, what the hell are you talking about? That's big, I think. Where I'm watching, hang with me, give me a 30-second tangent here. My wife and I just finished Receiver, the Netflix series Receiver. We've watched both of the first two quarterbacks, but the receivers. And one of the last scenes is Justin Jefferson cleaning out his locker in Minnesota. And he literally has an extra strength hefty bag, like you talked about. That's it. And he literally just kind of scoops it all in, throws it up over his shoulder, and out of the facility he walks. And my wife, who's watching it, says, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
That's what these guys do. And I explained the whole thing about Kerry Penner, and she said, well, that's the difference between a man and a woman. A woman would have that kind of touch,
right?
And a man wouldn't. And you know what? I had no argument for her because there's truth in it. Kerry Penner looked at that and said, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
And it bothered her to her very core enough as a person, and by the way, as an owner, that she said, this isn't going to be us. We're doing it a different way. And they continue to do it in a different way.
And it's those little things
yes,
that we don't see every day. Kind of like when Pat Bowlen teamed up with Mike Shanahan as the head coach. And Mike said to Pat, and Mike should get a lot of credit for helping change the culture with the Broncos. This is not a knock on Pat Bowlen.
Right.
When Mike Shanahan, this is what I was told. When Mike Shanahan got here, he came from playing for the DeBartolo family,
right,
who were first class all the way, and said to Pat, players don't share rooms on the road. They don't have brown bag lunches during training camp. This is not how we should be doing it. This is not how you treat, for lack of a better phrase, your commodities. If you have a bell cow that's going to be cut up into the greatest cuts of meat, you don't serve them bad food. You serve them great food so they can be those great cuts of meat. And it's the same thing for players. Feed them well, treat them right. Pay them what their wage, in theory, should be the market value, and they'll be loyal to you forever. And the reason is this, because if they had played for a previous team, they'll be able to see the difference immediately.
Well said. I have two laments in my time with the Broncos. First of all, that they haven't been able to sustain the Super Bowl level of play, but it has been very gratifying to see the upturn now. And so we'll see where that goes. The other one is not getting to know Mr. Bowlen a little bit. You knew him from afar, you knew of him from afar, and he was a guy that was so roundly respected in the National Football League that you could sense that from a long ways away. Pat Bowlen is one of the really good guys in ownership. And of course, his insidious disease had ravaged him by the time that I got here. And I never got an opportunity to know that, to be around it, to see it, to learn from it, to, all of the things that you like to when you're in the presence of great people. So that is a lament, but you're absolutely right. Where we are now is a very interesting place for the Broncos to be. It's lined up, Eric. Now the question becomes, can you just do the things that you need to do with everything on the table that you need to do it with? Can you succeed? And it'll be interesting.
I understand there's plenty of Walmart money, Condoleezza Rice money, Lewis Hamilton money behind the Broncos. I get that. But when you see a husband and wife on the field pretty much most days at training camp, this is a family business.
It is.
And it is a family business, unlike Pat Bowlen's family business, where Pat Bowlen didn't come into this with a crap ton of money.
Right.
The Penners do. This is the one story, I think I've told this to you before, but if you haven't heard this story, this will sum up Pat Bowlen. And I really believe that if this happened today, the Penners would do the same thing. Carl Mecklenburg, a mutual friend of ours, played all 7 positions on the front 7. He was asked before the start of the season to play a certain position in which he was going to rack up a decent number of sacks. In training camp, a guy on the interior line got injured, and the coaching staff said, Carl, we really need you to play on the interior line. Carl, full well knowing he was never going to reach those incentives and sacks. Without complaint, he played the position he was asked to play to help the team. When the season was over, Pat Bowlen called Carl up into his office and said, you were in line to get a lot of sacks this year, to hit that bonus in your contract, but you didn't because of the position that you played. I'm going to give you the bonus anyway.
Awesome.
That's something I believe that Greg and Kerry Penner would do too. I don't know that as fact, but my spidey sense tells me that's the way they run business, which is ironic considering I don't think that if you walked into a Walmart, they would necessarily treat their customers that way.
Don't know. Yeah, but I'm with you. I think that this ownership group is remarkable, and it starts with the Penners, but man, it goes, they're minority owners, and it is a really strong, smart, engaged crew.
Yeah.
And it's a pleasure to see we stand out there every day looking at a monument to the perseverance and the desire of this ownership group by looking at this facility.
But don't they have a huge advantage where they can pay out huge signing bonuses?
They do. I mean, there are inherent advantages to having lots of money. Gee.
Well, you can help with your cap, and that's my whole point.
Yes,
that's some Pat Bowlen, excuse me. Listen, Pat Bowlen was a millionaire/billionaire. In theory, if he actually was alive to sell the team, he would have been a billionaire back. Right. My point is the saying that I was always told about Pat Bowlen is, yes, he is a millionaire, but as an NFL owner, he is cash poor.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not the way it is now.
No.
They're not cash poor.
No.
They are limited only by their imagination on what they want to do. And that will play out at some point with the stadium. When they're ready to do it, they will do it, and they will do it with, I would imagine, very little to no public money whatsoever. And that's the way that they operate. Good for them and good for the Broncos.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, I'll see you practice a little bit later on today.
Look forward to it.
See you, man.